Well, good evening and thanks for joining us tonight here on News 20 on GTN. I'm Maria Gardner. We've got a great show for you tonight, very informational and educational. Joining me to talk about autism is Rachel Morgan, the founder and executive director of the Adam Morgan Foundation. Glad you could join us. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Now, I know I titled you as the executive director and the founder of the foundation, but you wear many hats in the community. Tell us about all the things that you do.
Actually, I do. The most important job that I have is as a wife and a mother of 4 beautiful children of all abilities. My oldest son, Adam, who the foundation is named after, will actually be 11 years old next Wednesday. I'm very proud of him. He does have a diagnosis of autism and is mainstreamed in the 5th grade. We'll be heading off to middle school next year. 2 daughters, Paige, who is 8, Haley, who's 6, and a beautiful little boy who is 3, Colin, and a wonderful very supportive husband, Jeff, of almost 15 years. So that's probably top of my priority. But I also did start the Adam Morgan Foundation. It will be 5 years on April 15th, which I'm really, really excited about. And the reason why I started the foundation was partly because of my son. But the other reason is I actually worked in early intervention for quite a few years. And a lot of the families that I worked with had a very difficult time transitioning out of the early intervention program into early childhood. So it went from a very family structured, all the services in home, then into the school district and getting services through the school. And many families were calling up and not having those resources for their kids with autism in the home again. And so they were really asking for those supports. So I started the foundation to provide those resources, those interventions, to help families fund those resources that we found for them. And 5 years later, we've helped over 450 families. So that is something that I've really taken pride in and have a wonderful group of volunteers. We are all volunteer-based. We do not have any employees. So the money that we raise really does go back out into the community.
When I first met you, the reason I wanted to have you on, I could tell how passionate you were about what you're doing. But to take a step back, and we talked about this before we went on the air, I don't think a lot of people understand when you say the word autism, if you had somebody draw it or write a definition, you'd have a million different answers. I don't think anybody really understands. Can you tell us, I guess we've got 30 minutes, if you could encompass at least some so everybody can coordinate it together?
Sure, that's a difficult question. When you do look at autism, it is a spectrum. I mean, you have no 2 kids that will ever look alike, and their supports and their needs and their family needs are going to be very, very different. I think that in my opinion, the 3 key pieces that you really look at are going to be social, communication, and some repetitive type behaviors. So if you have an individual, and it could be very small and subtle up into very much something that somebody could visually see if you were out to dinner or something like that. So it's where it really comes down to is if an individual is having difficulty socially communicating, reading somebody else's cues, and really having a difficult time. They know what's inside. They're not cognitively impaired. They are in there. It's just their body a lot of times is not working with what their brain wants to say. You may have an individual who does a lot of what they call echolalia, which is just repeating certain phrases maybe over and over again or certain words. It's like they get stuck on that. You may see hand flapping. You may see toe walking. You may just find that there might be somebody that has a hard time getting sarcasm. It could be as simple as that. In some of those kiddos that are labeled as having Asperger's syndrome is really having trouble with connecting with those social pieces at that higher level. So it really is a spectrum. There's not one definition that's going to be a one-size-fits-all.
At what age is something like this starting to be diagnosed? Is it as a as a baby, or do you not start to see this until they start talking and walking?
It depends. With my professional background, I mean, I have seen some kids diagnosed as early as 6 months of age. In my opinion, I think that's probably a little bit too young. I do think that a lot of those tend to have maybe siblings that have also gotten a diagnosis. There can be that genetic component. But typically, as far as getting an autism diagnosis, 12 to 18 months is probably the earliest that really you can start seeing signs. And a lot of that has to do with play. Because at 18 months of age is really when you start moving away from what they consider parallel play, meaning two children playing side by side with maybe the same toys but not yet interacting. And about 18 months to 2 years is when you typically see a child start just watching and start engaging with each other. And there again is that social communication. That's one of those big keys that's where you can really start seeing those signs.
What's the first step for a parent who maybe sees this? And sometimes it's not even the parent who sees it. It might be a neighbor or a relative or a friend, because I think a lot of parents don't want to say that maybe something is wrong with my child.
Absolutely. It can be a tough conversation. If parents are feeling that there's something just not right there, and usually parents, their guts, I always tell them to follow their gut. You know, I would go to your pediatrician, have a conversation with them. Parents as Teachers is also a great organization that can have some really good information. Depending on the age of your child, you could also, if they're from birth to 3, contact the First Steps office that's in your area here in Missouri. And every state has an early intervention program, so you can always Google that. And if they are above 3, you can also contact your school district. We do have some really great resources here in Missouri. Mercy Children's Hospital, that is actually being run by Dr. John Manavani, who's a pediatric neurologist, just an amazing man. He's actually started a Center for Autism here locally. It's been about a year now, and he's over at the Child Development Center, and their center is to actually, that's the point, is to diagnose. So if you have some concerns, there's that for this area. There's Knights of Columbus that is run by Dr. Rolanda Maxim, that is down in Cardinal Glennon Hospital. We also have the Thompson Center in Columbia. So there is just a plethora of resources that we have here in the St. Louis area. There's a lot more. I could go on, but that kind of gives you the basis of maybe where to start.
When someone comes to your foundation, to the website, adammorganfoundation.org, what are some of the things that you hope to accomplish with what you've built?
Probably the biggest thing is awareness and education. Something that I have found in our community that has been a very, very big need is parents are coming to us just feeling like they don't know where the resources are, and also how to collaborate with their school district. You know, our children with special needs who are on an individualized education plan and have a diagnosis of autism are in the school system for many, many years. You're talking for at least 15 years. And so that collaboration and working together with them is very, very critical. And I have found actually in the last couple years, I really try to listen to our community on what they need. And we have been doing a lot more workshops lately for families, and they're free to families. Everybody walks away with a free resource. And this past year, a really, really big emphasis has been on collaborating with schools. And what I've done is I've tried to take that emotion out of it and not putting parents in with their current educators, but rather putting parents in with future educators. We've partnered up with UMSL and Lindenwood University and have had several workshops now where we're putting parents and future special educators in the same room to have open conversations so that both sides are able to see a perspective that they didn't have before, and just really finding ways that we can work together.
As far as yourself, what's it make you feel like to wake up every day? And you said you've helped 450 families so far, and see what the foundation is doing on a daily basis to help so many people. With your educational background included in what you're doing, it gives you instant credibility.
Well, I hope so. I've been working really hard on that. I'm actually at Lindenwood University right now pursuing my master's in education. They have a new program. It's an early intervention, and it's from birth up into the grade level of 3, and it's with an emphasis on autism and sensory impairment. And when I say sensory impairment, that's the vision and the deaf and hard of hearing, actually, not the sensory integration piece. And my emphasis will be on autism, and I am going to be graduating with that master's in August. And I have learned a great deal over the past 2 years from this program, and really trying to combine what I'm doing with the foundation with what I'm learning and trying to get out there to be able to make some systems changes. And in order to do that, you really do need to get into that university level. And I'm trying to give more hands-on experience to the students who are at the university level with current parents. It's kind of nice wearing both hats, being a professional in the field, actually 3 hats, a student in the field, and also a parent. I think I can bring a unique perspective and try to bring everybody together to really come up with a collaborative effort. How can we work together instead of against each other? And I really see some cool things happening, and I'm very impressed with our community and how they've been coming together lately.
How important is it to have family support as a family goes through this? Because this is one of those things where you can either pull together and work together as a family, or it could really kind of push everybody apart, especially a husband and a wife.
You know, that's a great question. I'm really glad that you asked that. I think that our family is quite unique. I know that I'm very busy, and God bless my husband, because he does have to put in a lot of extra time here and support with all the things that I'm doing. But what our family has done, I think, is quite unique in the fashion that we have gotten to acceptance at a very, very early age. Now, in our situation, our child that has autism is the oldest, and I have 3 younger siblings. And it can be a very different dynamic if you have children that you have, and then you have maybe your youngest is diagnosed with special needs. The dynamic can be very difficult and different. And because my other 3 kids were born, and Adam was already there. I mean, it was, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of changes that they had to go through. But what I've seen in my other kids has been truly amazing. My 8-year-old daughter, her and I are actually writing a book right now. It's at the Illustrators, and the reason why we wrote it is because she was having difficulties. She's 2 years younger than Adam at school with some playground situations last year. And she came home and she was pretty upset, asking me if I could help. And I told her, I said, you know, I'd really think it'd be a good idea if you actually went in and educated your peers. And she thought that was the coolest idea ever. And she actually went in and with the counselor talked to all 4 second grade classrooms, educated them, read them a book, and answered all their questions about Adam. And it has taken off. She started a club there with 30 members strong. The school has been outstanding. They let our kids go down 10 minutes a day, 4 days a week, and read with children with special needs, not just autism, but to spend time with them and actually get to know them. And so it's not just what I'm doing, it's not just what the foundation is doing, but I am seeing that it's really amazing to watch my other kids just step up to the plate naturally and become advocates.
As far as not only with Adam, but other children who have autism, I don't even really know how to put this, but do they understand that there's something going on, or is it they're just the way they are and they don't understand that things are going on around them?
That's another great question. They actually, I mean, obviously I can only speak for Adam, but many kids that I've worked with, they understand a lot. We've actually, just in the past few months, realized that our son is reading. And it's been truly amazing to watch him. And one of the things that we've been doing, we've given away 8 iPads in the last, probably, it's been less than a year. We plan on giving away 5 more this month. And we're really excited because who doesn't love an iPad? And it's very socially acceptable. The kids, it's a really great social thing. But what we've learned is with the iPad that there's applications out there that help our kids because they do understand what's going on around them. They're just not able to get it out. That with the iPad, they are able to get it out. And there's actually a particular app on here that I wanted to show you guys that is truly amazing. It's called the AbiliPad app. And what this is you can make your own keyboards. And that doesn't just mean single words. And this is how we figured out that he could read. Because actually, what you can do is make up sentences. And what I did is I put 3 sentences in there. I did not tell him what they said. And I just said, Adam, which one says, look under the bed? And he scanned them, and he went and he hit it.
Bed. Look under the bed.
And what's nice is it gives the voice for him, because Adam speaks. He's not nonverbal. He does speak, but they're usually very short sentences. And so this actually gives him more length. The understanding is there. He's just having difficulty a lot of times getting it out. And what happens is there's a big misrepresentation of what our children know. And a lot of times the educators, when they ask our kids to do things, and if their bodies don't react in the right way, then they're marking that they get it wrong. And that can actually cause behavior problems in our kids because they know the answer. And the problem is their body just didn't cooperate with what their mind is saying. And so then you can see increased agitation and anxiety. And usually what I do with him is I just tell him, Adam, I know you know the right answer. Let's try again. Your hand was over in the right area. And I will see his body immediately calm. See, the key is it starts at home and you have to continue out with educators in the community, is you have to have belief in our kids. And once the belief is there, the sky's the limit. We just need to figure out how our kids learn and how they're going to actually express it. It doesn't always have to be verbally. Let's find other ways that work. And the iPad, I tell you what, is one of the most amazing gifts of communication that we could ask for. And we've got to get these in the kids' hands.
You also have a big event coming up in late April here. Tell us about that. This is a way the community can actively get involved.
Absolutely. We actually have our 4th annual, this is our 4th year of doing it, AM Fun Run. I know it's a little misleading because it's Adam Morgan Foundation Fun Run, and it is in the evening. It's a twilight run. You get to come down to beautiful St. Charles, Missouri in downtown Frontier Park. It does start at 7 p.m. and you get to watch the sunset. It's a nice flat Katy Trail run. We offer a 10K, a 5K, or a 1.5 mile walk. So bring your family, come on down, you get a t-shirt. It is a timed run by Fleet Feet, so it's legit. We have medals for all different types of age groups, and probably the most coveted thing is our resource tent. We will have resources there for you that is absolutely amazing. Something that we also are adding on this year is some live entertainment. We have 4 solo artists and also acoustic band that's going to be playing on the stage. So it's going to be a party. We've already got like 130 people signed up. We're expecting 400 or 500 people. There's food, drinks. I mean, it's just going to be a really, really good time.
And that's on April 27th.
Saturday, April 27th.
What's it feel like for you to almost maybe step out of yourself at an event like this and just look around and see what you've created? Is it almost surreal? It is surreal.
It's, you know, I'm a runner. I love to run. I put my passion in with the foundation. That was the reason why this was our first fundraiser way back when. And to watch it grow has been really neat. The interactions and the resources that people get out of this. I do always take a step back each year and just take a deep breath and look around. And it's really neat to see our community come together to not only bring these resources and get people together and talking about this and bringing the awareness, but also getting in a little exercise too.
What's Adam think about it?
Adam actually loves it. He starts the race every year, and so he loves getting that little the little megaphone, and he'll say ready, set, go, and it's pretty cool to watch him. He just lights up watching all the runners go by.
You're here on April 2nd, which is actually World Autism Day. The whole month of April is Autism Month. But this is a 24-hour day, 7-day a week, every day of the year issue for a lot of families, including yourself. What would you want people out there to know and understand?
You know, it is, and it's growing. Last year, about this time, there was information put out that in America alone, just the U.S., there is 1 million people that are diagnosed with autism, and 80% of them are under the age of 22. And so, in the next decade, we are going to have an influx of adults with autism out in this world. And we really have to make sure that we are accepting, that we are including, because that is how we are all going to make a difference. And, we have really, really got to make sure that our kids are mainstreamed to the best of their ability into what the families are wanting. Because if we don't, it will not lead to good adult outcomes. I mean, we have our community is surrounding us here and coming up with programs. Lindenwood has also added a K through 12 educational master's program as well. So I think the community is taking some steps in order to get to that point so that we can support our community as we go through this next decade. But what's even more important is that we have to not just include up through high school, but into adulthood as well. And UMSL is putting out a brand new program that is so exciting this fall called Succeed. And it is for those young adults, 18 to 25 years old. They're starting with 15 members of our community that have special needs. And they are going to have an on-campus experience with the proper support, be able to live with their peers, with the proper support, whether it's aides or needing 24/7 service, and they're going to be included in some college classrooms. And so I think it's exciting that our community is moving in this direction. We have a long way to go, but as long as we're moving in a positive direction, that's a good thing. We just need to keep working together, not against each other, and I know that these system changes are going to come about if we keep doing what we're doing.
When you look at the numbers, how, over the past 10 years, how the numbers have risen, do you think it's because the people like yourself are more educated about this itself and that more people are being diagnosed? It's kind of like when we have the Cancer Society on. The numbers are up because doctors realize that this is cancer. So has this been going on for years and years and years and tens of years, but just not diagnosed the right way, maybe?
In my opinion, I think there's a lot of different reasons. For one, the diagnosis has gotten bigger. Okay, if you open that up and you add more things and more symptoms per se, you're going to get more diagnosis. But I think you also have to look at a genetic factor. And I also think that you have to look at, again, this is my opinion, but women are having children later in life. And if you also look at the last decade, children are actually living now because of medical technology where they weren't 10 years ago. And so you're not just seeing an increase in autism, but with special needs, period. And it's because, they're living because of our medical technology where they may not have made it 10 years ago, which I think is fabulous and great, but I do think that you need to probably take a look at that piece, that can cause, that could possibly be a cause of why we're having some of these delays and why some of these things are happening too. So I don't think there's one thing that you can nail down. I think awareness is huge. And it looks like too that we're having some new changes in the autism diagnosis come May. There's going to be a new DSM-5 coming out, and they are trying to kind of take that spectrum and just make it more defined. So I don't know what's going to happen, when that comes out in May, numbers might start looking a little bit different too.
What would you say, as the expert with this, for somebody who's watching the show tonight going, I'm living this right now, but I'm really afraid to ask for help or seek help? Is knowledge power?
It's absolutely power, and support is power. You should never have to go through this alone. Just because I've worked in the field and, I have some education in this background, and of course I've gone through almost 11 years, with our son, I still have a lot more to learn. And trust me and my family, we have tremendous support. If it weren't for my in-laws, I probably wouldn't be able to go back to school. So, you have to look around you, and you have to know that it's okay. You don't have to do this alone. And if you have questions, seek out what's out there. Just know that there's a lot of information out there. There's not going to be a one-size-fits-all or a one intervention that is going to cure, fix this. You have to take everything in stride, take it day by day, and you have to get the information and then weed through it. And you have to decide as a family what's going to be best for you and your child and your other children, because what's best for you isn't going to always be what's best maybe for me. So there is a lot of information out there. I just tell people, you may not just want to go and Google this and just get a plethora of information. Maybe try to take a trusted source, or go to your pediatrician first, or somebody that you feel that you can have that conversation with first, and then build off of that and collect the resources that you think make sense, and then just take it a step by step.
Now, the workshops that you had mentioned before earlier in the show, can they find out all that information at the website?
Yes, actually, we will be having a workshop. I'm actually trying to get everything together, but it looks like we will be having a IEP goal writing workshop in May. I don't have the date as of yet, but that should be coming out in the next week or so. We do have a Facebook page. That's usually where, you know, the latest and greatest is. Our website usually follows up after that. But we do also do monthly book giveaways on our Facebook page. And the only thing you have to do to enter is make a comment, question, or a statement or story about the topic of the month. And actually this month we are going to give away a $200 shopping spree at eSpecial Needs, which is for sensory type of equipment. So we've decided to do that this month. That's already on our Facebook page, and that's for anybody across the country. So that's not just local. That's just have to put that in at the end of the month, then we'll pick a winner. So we do. Our Facebook page has a lot of things going on there. You can find out about the events, any workshops that we have coming up. We will have some estate planning workshops as well and financial planning workshops. We have started doing those. I've gotten a lot of interest lately about that. And we have a lot of things that are in the works too, that we're really excited about.
Family and school and this, I can imagine you're a very busy person.
Yes, that's okay though.
As far as we wrapping up the show today, I want to touch on one more time to try to get everybody to get out and join at the walk. Let's go ahead and run through the information one more time.
Great. Yes, it's going to be a Twilight Walk run on April 27th. It's a Saturday evening in downtown St. Charles at Frontier Park. And we offer a 10K, a 5K, a 1.5 mile walk. A ton of resources. We've got live bands. Actually, Rhythm Music and Performing Arts Studio is actually donating all of the bands and the live music for us. And we're actually working on putting together some classes for kids with autism with them too, with art, music, and dancing. So we've got that coming up as well. And we do have a golf tournament if you're not a runner on June 3rd. And that flyer should be out here in the next week or so at Forest Park.
Now for the run, do they have
June 2nd.
Everything will be on the website?
Everything will be on the website.
And do they need to pre-register for the run, or can they just show up that night?
They can actually show up that day. We do take credit cards that day as well. So you can actually register for the run all the way up until race time.
As we start to bring this to a close right now, Rachel, what would you want to leave everybody out there with in the St. Louis area about what you're doing, your mission, and what you hope to see over the next 5 to 10 years with autism and your foundation?
I would just like to see our community come together more. I would like to see acceptance, inclusion, education. I would like to see empowerment of families and really watch our community just wrap our arms around these individuals, because I tell you what, they have some amazing skills, and their talent is unbelievable. And I tell you what, if you haven't met somebody with autism, you will by the time your life is over, because I tell you what, it is growing, and I don't want people to look at this as an unfortunate thing, because to me it's a blessing. And these individuals with autism, they just bring so much love into the world, and I just hope that everybody can support each other, and that we can just bring some closure to some of the misconceptions that's going on with our kids, because they're cognitively there and they're smart and intelligent, and just give them a chance.
Rachel, we appreciate your time doing a great thing for the community, and best of luck with everything you do. Once again, AdamMorganFoundation.org. Thanks for joining us tonight here on the show. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on News 20 on GTN. Have a good evening.
Sorry.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Be out there. Be out there.
Be out there. Be out there.
Time was, kids did what came naturally, spending free time running barefoot through the grass, wading knee-deep in streams, climbing to the tallest branch. But today, American kids are more likely found texting, watching TV, or gazing at a computer screen. They spend more than 7 hours in front of electronic media. Something essential has been lost: childhood's connection to the natural world. That's why National Wildlife Federation created the Be Out There movement. Kids move indoors causes a host of problems, from obesity to ADHD. But outdoor play can go a long way to improving kids' health, body, mind, and spirit. It helps them stay fit, enhances creativity and attention spans, and could even make them better students. Do your part. Be a part of Be Out There. There's a reason why they call it the great outdoors. Learn more at beouthere.org.